Life after Microsoft Windows, cutting the cord. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much once again for joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of fireside and that is it. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today's a technology day. We'll be talking about Billy the Kid, Bill Gates, Microsoft, and Windows. Is Windows something that you're starting to get sick of because you feel like it's constantly watching you? I know a lot of people are. A couple of weeks ago, there was just massive blowback against Microsoft and what they were doing with their recall software, a recall package. This is awesome just for you because it's not something that we as Microsoft really need to do, but we're doing it to help you, right? It's their whole Copilot Plus nonsense PCs that they're coming up with that is, I would say, a means of spying on every single thing that you do. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, anytime that you're on it, it is spying on you. And the gist behind it was this recall software was taking a screenshot every 3 seconds and then taking that information and leaving it on your computer, supposedly encrypting it, but then processing it using your processing power, using your memory. And then when it distilled it all down to something that Microsoft could use, Billy the Kid over there, it would send it off. There was a lot of people that were just angered by this, and a lot of you were also. And at that time I was talking about, hey, maybe we need to change things up a little bit. Maybe I need to go back to Linux and see if Linux can be a daily driver. Now, I'm a system administrator, so I've been using Linux for 20 plus years, 25 years, long time. I started out with Red Hat Linux and it kind of moved into, let's say, a model that I really didn't like. So I tried a bunch of other ones. There's a lot of different Linux distros out there or distributions. And my thought was, if I could move away from Windows and go with a free piece of software, a free OS like Linux, why the hell not, right? But for many years, this was just absolutely impossible, and it might still be. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting together a series like what I did with Life After Adobe, cutting the cord. This is Life After Microsoft Windows, cutting the cord. And it shows you or takes you on this journey of me trying to move away from Adobe, was the last one. This time, move away from Windows. Is it a possibility? Can we do it? Once again, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, the answer is absolutely no. There was no way to do it. It was more of a server type thing. It is getting a lot better. But the question I have to ask is, will I be able to do all the things that I need to do as a professional photographer, videographer, content creator? Can I do all of them, my daily chores, my daily work on Linux in comparison to Windows? Is that possible? So if you want to come along with me on this journey, just follow this series and you'll see if I get to the end and say, listen, I throw my hands up, I can't do it, I'm going back to Windows, or look, we were able to do it. Now, to start out with, I have to say that you need to put together a list, and this is what I did. I put together a list of must-haves and then kind of wants. What are the must-haves and what are the requests, let's call them, the wants, that would be nice to have as a daily driver? So I put together this list. I want to read this to you, and I want you to do the same, because if you would like to test this out, you're going to have to do this also, because it is very important to know what you're getting into. Because Linux is not like Windows where you just install it and just go about your merry way and hope that everything is working in the background for you. Every once in a while you get a blue screen of death, or it might say to download drivers every single damn day or download some update every single day, while all the while gathering telemetry and your user information in every single damn thing that you do, as well as now with recall, it's going to take a snapshot of your screen every 3 seconds and distill that down too. Like if it's not enough. Well, these are the items that I need. All right. Once again, make your list. This is very, very important. Before I get into this list, I just want to say that if you enjoy this content or this series, throw it a thumbs up. That would be very, very helpful. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. If you are, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Click this little button over here so when I go live, when a new video comes out, you'll be notified of it immediately. If you want more content like this that has to do with breaking free of Windows, the Life After Microsoft Cutting the Cord series, I'll put a link right over here so you can see more of this if you would like to. Also, if you want to say thank you for all of my hard work, I'll put a little thank you button down here. You can give $1 or $2 if you like. If not, that's perfectly fine. Consider becoming a member of the channel. That would be even better. And finally, if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks, consider doing so. They are free just for you being here. Go to JCristina.com/books. Once again, JCristina.com/books. So let's get into this list. Now, this is the must-haves. The first thing is NVIDIA GPU acceleration. I have an NVIDIA card. I want to make sure that I can use the GPU acceleration. So when I'm doing video editing or if I'm doing anything, photo editing, it is going to use the GPU and not just the CPU. Because if you're just using a CPU, you're losing out on a lot of speed. The next thing is mouse and keyboard compatibility. That is very, very important to me because there's certain things that I do with the mouse and keyboard, especially when it comes to all of these little buttons and stuff. I want the things to work, right? The next thing is multi-monitor. Now I have 2 monitors currently going. I got a 34-inch over here. I got a 27-inch over here. I want to make sure that I can use them simultaneously and be able to drag things from one to the other. The next thing is my Scarlett. I have a Scarlett 2x2, which is a video interface. It allows me to take my microphone information, put it through the Scarlett, and then feed it in through a USB-C or a USB connection. And that is really important for me because then I'm able to dial in the audio the way I want it. So that Scarlett needs to be able to work. The next thing is my Canon, my EOS R that I record on all the time. I want to make sure that I can feed that into the computer and now that video is seen in Linux. Can we do that? The next thing is OBS. OBS is so mission critical for everything that I do. When I go live on the JC Live shows on Friday, we use OBS. When I record these videos, I'm using OBS. It just simply works. It works really well, and I want to make sure that I could use OBS on Linux. Now, that one I've already solved because, guys, right now I'm recording this on Linux, which is great. So one of those I've already been taken care of. Now, some of the others have been taken care of also. I'll get into that before the end of this video. The next thing is the Elgato Stream Deck. I have 2 Stream Decks in front of me. They have a bunch of buttons on them. I want to be able to click on them and bring on different scenes and whatnot in OBS. That is very important to me. Now, when it comes to software, we need to get a raw editor, some type of photo editor, photo raw editor, something like Lightroom. Obviously, we no longer use Lightroom. We need something like that on Linux. We also need a photo editor proper, a manipulator like Photoshop. We need something like that on Linux. I also need some type of illustration software. I use that a lot when it comes to creating thumbnails for the channel. I also need a video editor, right? We have to have a video editor. My video editor used to be Adobe Premiere, and we broke free of Adobe and I moved to DaVinci Resolve. So I want to make sure that I can get DaVinci Resolve to work on Linux. Now, what are some of the wants? Well, my biggest want, instead of putting an entire list together, would be play video games. Wouldn't it be awesome to play video games on Linux in comparison to always on PC? Now, there's some really, let's say, low-budge video games that are already on Linux that are out there that you can download for free, but I'm talking about real video games, right? And A-list video games, the only way to play them that I know of is through Steam or something like Steam. So we need to get Steam on this computer also. That is one of my big wants. We'll see if it goes through or not. So those are my wants and my needs. What are yours? Down below in the comment area, put some of the things that are required by you to be able to even think about going to Linux. My needs, as you can see with my must-haves, are very creator-based. So it's going to be very graphical intensive, video, audio, photo, this type of thing, and then gaming at the very end. So what I would suggest is going onto YouTube and looking up the different Linux distributions and see what they're good for. And then also look at the different things that you absolutely must have. Like for example, I absolutely must have DaVinci Resolve. Period. That's what I use. That's my NLE. That's my nonlinear editor for doing these videos. So which Linux distributions makes it easy to install DaVinci Resolve? Which one makes it extremely difficult to install it, if even possible? So by looking that up, that helped me to figure out, and the same thing with you. What are you really interested in? Maybe you're just interested in emulation. You just love the old school 8-bit, 16-bit video games, and you just want emulators. Well, there are distributions specifically that are honed into that. So what I ended up picking out of all of the different distributions was Fedora. Fedora is like the free version, let's call it, of a Red Hat Linux Enterprise, where you're paying for service, you're paying for someone to hold your hand with Red Hat Linux Enterprise. It's very stable. Whereas Fedora is more cutting edge, and about 60 or 75% of it is community written, let's say, community coded. And you end up getting a lot of new drivers quicker. So when a new camera comes out, you're going to find a driver really quickly on Fedora, whereas on Red Hat, it might take 6 months, that type of thing. You follow me? So it is very important to figure that out. For me, it was Fedora. Now, what I found was OBS and DaVinci Resolve will install on Fedora without that much of a problem. So I went with that. So the install was quite simple. Some folks look at it as like Linux. There's just no way that I can get involved with this. That's like computer coder geek kind of hacker stuff. And it really isn't. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me bring you over to my screen so you can see what this looks like. That is it, a blank screen. Now, if we hit our super key, which is that Windows key on a Windows keyboard, right? It kind of pushes things back. And as we can see down here, we can see some installed software. We can hit applications, move left or right. We can also go to this main screen, and then we can slide over to the right and get another desktop. So we can have one desktop of a bunch of apps open here, and we can go back to this desktop and open others, which is really convenient. Now, a lot of people don't realize how easy it is to install Linux. Now, let me go and just show you this. Let me just drag this in here. Let's go and take a look at Fedora. Let's see, fedoraproject.org. This is what it looks like. Now, if we go to fedoraproject.org, there's a little blue button here. It says latest release. If you click on that, it'll bring you down here to these options. You have your Linux desktop, which is your workstation. You have a server, and then you have your IoT, and finally cloud, which is your lightweight, like a VM or a virtual machine environment. You don't need that. What we need here is the Linux desktop. If we click learn more, you can get more information about it. Now, what's pretty cool is if we take this and we just move it to the edge, it'll automatically snap to the edge. If we pick it up now and move it to the other edge, it'll snap to that edge. So it's similar to like Windows. It gives you a lot of different type of functionality, which I really like. So anyways, this is where you would go to download the software. You just simply hit the download now button, and it gives you a couple of options what to download. Now, you have the ISO, which is the actual software itself, in 3 different ways or 3 different formats here. You have x86 64, you have Arch, you also have PPC. It depends on what you're looking for. For me, it's going to be Intel and AMD x86 64. Which is 64-bit. This is what I'm going to download. That's all we have to do is click this little button right here, and it will start downloading. Obviously, we don't need to do that right now. Now, if we come over to this side, it says Fedora Media Writer. Now, this is very important. This is what you need to write the software or make it bootable onto a pen drive. Now, let me go back to my full screen because I want to show you this, because this is important also. Now, let me see. This was the original idea. I was buying this to install the software onto this extremely fast SanDisk pen drive, right? And this one is 400 megabytes per second, the maximum read speed. So it's really quick. Well, I found another SanDisk, so I didn't end up using this one. It's a little bit slower, but I said, you know what? Let me give this one a shot, because not everyone's going to spend the 30, 40 bucks on this one. They don't mind spending $10 on this one, so let me give it a shot. Let me try it to see if it's too slow, if it's just aggravating and we need that one. Well, I tried this one. It worked flawlessly. The entire install probably took maybe 10 minutes at most. It was really quick. Now, I also purchased one of these. This is the Samsung. I love these. These are the Evos. This is an 870. Basically, it's an SSD. So I ended up buying this 1 terabyte SSD drive, installing it into the computer, and this is where I installed the Fedora operating system onto. It is still extremely quick. It's saying that it has speeds of 560 megabytes and also 530 megabytes. One is read, one is write. That is quick. That is not bad. Now, there's a lot faster. There's double and triple fast, but this is good enough for what we're doing here. The other thing that you could do is take one of these smaller ones and then a larger, let's say a 256 gig or maybe even a terabyte, and install the operating system onto a pen drive and just boot from the pen drive to test it out. So you can do that also. For me, I wanted to do it this way because I wanted to give it a real full chance. I wanted things to go as fast as possible, and this is the way I ended up doing it. Now, let me get back over to that screen where you can see what's going on here. Now, I tried using the Fedora Media Writer and it kind of didn't work right. It was okay, but I ended up using a program called Etcher. It's also free. I ended up downloading it for my Apple, for my iMac. I ended up making this over on my Apple laptop. Very simple. So I ended up using Etcher, but your miles may vary. Maybe this will work perfectly for you. The bottom line is this Etcher or this Fedora Media Writer will put that ISO onto this pen drive and allow it to be booted from. All right, that's basically what you're doing. Now, going into boot. What you would do then is once you have this, you install it into your computer, right? You're going to go and reboot the computer and you're going to hit, let's say, F2 or F12, or maybe it's delete, whatever your computer says to get into the BIOS. Once you get into your BIOS, what you're going to do is you're going to change your boot order. So instead of booting into Windows, you want to boot off this USB. It's called a UEFI USB. Basically, it's a bootable USB stick. And once you set that, you're going to save and then reboot. It will boot from this and you'll go into the installation process. I didn't even record it because it's just so stupid simple. All right, you can do it. Trust me, anyone can do it. You're going through just a couple of options. It's asking you, where do you want to put it? I said, hey, I want to put it onto my Evo 870. Obviously, make sure you put it onto your blank drive and not put it onto your main drive and now delete everything. Obviously, you don't want to do that. But it's very simple to know which drive is which because it's going to tell you what the name is of the drive. You simply select the blank drive and say begin. And that is it. It downloads all of the information, it unpacks the entire operating system and installs it onto that drive. The next thing, once the installation is done, what you're going to do is go back and reboot your computer. Once again, click on delete or F1 or F12 or whatever to get into the BIOS, and now change your boot order. So instead of booting off this, right, you're going to unplug it because you don't need it anymore. You're going to boot off your drive where your new operating system is located. What's nice about doing this, guys, is that now you have 2 boot drives in your computer. If you want to boot into Linux, you can use this drive. You just simply go into your BIOS and say, go here. If you don't want to use this anymore, no problem. You just simply go back into your BIOS and say boot off Windows and you're done. Now, of course, you could use bootloaders and everything else. I don't bother with that because for me, I'm going to use one or the other and that's it. I don't want to dual boot. I don't need to do that. My goal is to be able to use this as a daily driver. So I don't want to see Windows. When I'm doing this project, I don't want to see Windows. If I go into Windows for some reason, all right, it better be a damn good reason, because if not, I need to figure it out in Linux. That's what I did with Adobe Photoshop. That's what I did with Adobe Lightroom. That's what I did with Illustrator and InDesign and Premiere and all the rest. I went cold turkey and I found alternatives. That's the exact same thing that I'm doing here. I know that this is not going to be simple. It's not going to be easy. There is some work involved. It's once again, not just like installing Windows, paying your money and that getting spied on continuously for the rest of your life. It's not like that. right? It is going to be a little bit of work. The other thing that I kind of want to share with you is I've been hearing down the grapevine that not only is Windows going to be continuously spying on you with future releases, Windows 11, Windows 12 going forward, but also they're working on a monthly model, a subscription model, a lease model, a never own anything model, a rental model like Adobe did. Now, I know that's going to piss a lot of people off. We'll see if it ends up coming true or not, but there's a lot of talk about that happening. There's a lot of things that are working in the background that leads us to believe that they're going to go into some type of subscription model. And I'm not talking about like an Office 365, about the actual operating system. But we'll see what ends up happening. Either which way, you will be prepared if that does happen. Now, let's go back over to my system so you can actually see what's going on here. Now, once again, it is plain. There's nothing on here. We hit our super key to bring up our little menu at the bottom, or a docking station. Depends if you are a Mac person. This would be like a dock down here. Now, if we go over here to the file system, that will pop up and you can see this is just like you would normally see on a Windows box or an Apple machine. If we go to downloads, we can see that I've already downloaded some wallpaper. I've downloaded the NVIDIA drivers, and I also downloaded DaVinci Resolve 18.6.6. Now, that has not been installed as of yet. I'm going to be working on that most likely today, but it's already downloaded, ready to go. Now, if we come down here, there is something called software. This is like where you go and purchase software, let's say, on normal operating systems. But here, everything is free. Okay. Now, what's interesting here is you have like create, you have work, play, develop, learn, socialize, whatever, and you can go through them. Now, at the top here, you see it says podcast, and we have different items. I was clicking through this and I found this pop up. Now, I didn't even know that this was here. Matter of fact, let me expand this. Let me put this over here so it's full screen, or half screen, let's call it. So you see this software underneath, it says control your Elgato Stream Decks. Wow. Matter of fact, you know what? While you're sitting here, let's go ahead and do it. Let me just click install. And this is how simple that it is. You just simply click install, it downloaded it. You can use either FlatHub or you can use the regular installer. So that literally installed in like what, 5 seconds? So let's hit our super key and then go over to our show apps and then move over to the next panel. And there it is, this boat Swain, whatever it is. Maybe we'll click on it just to see what it does. And this is supposedly, wow, oh my God, this looks exactly. Are you kidding me? Huh, hold on. Stream Deck, okay. But I also have the other version of Stream Deck. Does it find it? No. So I'm only showing one Stream Deck. Now, I don't know. So we'll have to check into that. Does it recognize one or just the other? But anyways, we will look into that because that looks very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Anyway, so this is the software area where you can go and pick up whatever software you want. This is all your freebies. You have calendars and contacts. You have boxes. Some people like doing virtualization, VMs. You can pick up boxes and then go ahead and create other virtual machines, basically other operating systems on this same Linux box if you wanted to. So there is an absolute ton of stuff to go through here. So let me go ahead and get out of here, and I want to show you OBS currently running. Let me move this over from my other monitor to this monitor. There you go. Perfect. So this is my OBS. Now OBS is working. And I had to recreate my scenes. I tried importing them from the Windows machine into this machine. I think I fat thumbed it and screwed it up. I said, you know what? Let me just reinvent the wheel here and make these new scenes because there's not much to it. So we have the full screen scene like this. We click on that and it just goes to me. We go back to the desktop with me on it, and you can see that I'm on it. I can click on the desktop alone and I just disappear. That's just the desktop. And then finally, we have a desktop number 2. That doesn't have me on it, but there you go. So that is my 27-inch monitor. That's what that looks like, and that's what is on it currently. So that is Fedora 40 in a nutshell, all right? Once again, this is something that you can do for like, if you wanted to spend $100, you could. You can spend like 50 if you wanted to and get a couple of USB sticks instead of a SSD. You can do it that way. Either which way, I do believe it is something that you should look into. And the reason being is privacy is dying. It's dying on the vine. And all of these companies are continuously stealing our data. I mean, look what just happened with Adobe just like a week or two ago. Major blowback, the same thing that happened with Billy the Kid over there, Bill Gates and his Windows garbage, right? The same exact thing. The DOJ is now suing Adobe because of how hard it is to be able to unsubscribe from their bullshit subscription. And there's a lot of other things, a lot of nefarious things that they do, a lot of underhanded crap that Adobe does, right? And now we see, once again, the Department of Justice going after Adobe, and rightfully so. I would love to see a class action lawsuit against Adobe, and you and I, people that have used Adobe over the many years, get $10, get $100, get something, which will cost them billions of dollars. I think that would be perfect. Because once again, they've been screwing us forever. The same thing holds true with Windows, right? There's a lot of other companies that do it, but Windows is what we're focusing on with this new series. Life after Microsoft Windows, cutting the cord. So this should be an interesting series. I'm going to have fun with it. I might fail. But the difference between me and a lot of other YouTubers out there is I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. If this does not work and it fails horribly, miserably, I'm going to tell you. Or if it does really well, I'm going to tell you that too. If I have problems or stumbling blocks in the road, I'm going to tell you all about those too. And then it gives you an idea or a means to figure out if this is something for you. Should you go down this path or should you not? I personally think everyone should. Number one, it is a fantastic learning process. Number two, if it actually works for you, hell, you can break free of Windows. That would be even more amazing, right? So I really think that is worth giving it a shot. And if you just want to watch me during this series and kind of dip your feet in and take a look, like I told you before, which one of those distros is right for you, which one of those distributions, Linux versions or distributions works for what you need it to work with or work for. For me, once again, I'm a content creator. This distro works the best for me because I've found many YouTubers have already installed the software that I need to install. Is it easy? Is it hard? Is there things that you have to do to get things to work, kind of tweak things? Probably so. Things are not just 100% straightforward with anything. There was one thing that I already found that I didn't know about is this mouse, one of my favorites. This is a Logitech. This is a G, whatever the hell. There's so many of them, okay? I love this. I love all the controls over it. I use it for editing all the time. And I need all of these buttons, but they don't have software. So if you go to the Logitech website, you will see that there is no software for this mouse. Well, that's a problem, right? That's a big problem. Well, it was until I found a piece of software that actually fixed the problem, that actually addressed the problem. Like we just found here live with the Stream Deck. I didn't know that that Stream Deck software would even bring up my Stream Deck as something that it can use. I didn't know a Linux community member wrote a piece of software for the Stream Deck. So you don't have to use Elgato software that doesn't exist. That's fantastic. Well, the same thing holds true with this mouse. Matter of fact, let me bring back my screen just for a minute, and then I'll let you guys go, as I know this video was long, but thank you for sticking with me to the end. Anyways, if we hit our super key and now go to the bottom where it says applications, move over, you see this application called Piper? If we click on Piper, watch what happens. Piper is an application which is identical to an application that you would get from Logitech. It looks just like that. It allows you to change the DPI on it. It allows you to create different profiles. It allows you to modify the resolution. It allows you to modify each one of the buttons and what they do. It also allows you to modify the LEDs. What color are they? What are they? What's the cycle? What is going to happen with this mouse? How does it work? As we can see, there is color to it. And this is the type of thing. Sometimes there might not be a driver or a piece of software for something like a mouse or with your Stream Deck or whatnot, but someone out there has already written something. That is awesome. And that is what's so great about this community. The Fedora community of certified, let's say, people that actually contribute code to Fedora, I think it was like 27 or 28,000 people worldwide. That doesn't include all of the programmers, all the people that are pounding code in their basement, right? That are adding to repositories all over the place, different programs and whatnot, different pieces of software, different drivers, different whatever. So there is a massive Linux community out there. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you go on this journey with me to break free of Microsoft Windows and use Linux as a daily driver. Is it possible? Once again, no smoke is going to be blown on this channel. I'm going to tell you exactly if it's possible, if it's not possible. Is it easy? Is it hard? Is it something in between? I'll let you know. Keep watching these videos. Watch this series. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, it's good. If not, once again, I'm going to tell you. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, throw it a thumbs up. That'll be very helpful. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're not, if you are, thank you. I appreciate it. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools I've invented for you and me over the many years, and my merch and my tees and my shirts, my books, and all the rest of this stuff. If there's something there that you like, please pick it up and help support me and my family. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay connected, stay Microsoft free, hopefully, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you guys.